Kirain ada itunya moderatornya. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable His Excellencies Mr. Vasyl Hamianin, the Ambassador of Ukraine for Indonesia, the Head of Pusat Studi Eropa and Eurasia, Mas Ari Radityo Dharmaputra, colleagues and all lecturers from International Relations Department, Universitas Airlangga. We have Mbak Ica here, Mas Safril in the back, and also maybe other Mas around here. And last but not least, our beloved students of International Relations Department, Universitas Airlangga, especially for class 2023. Welcome to the event. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Ambassador, Mr. Hamianin, for his second visit to our campus. He made his first visit on November last year, if I'm not mistaken. And now he is here again to meet with the new students of International Relations Department, class of 23, to give some insight and explanation regarding what happened in Russia and Ukraine at the moment. So I'm sure that most of you here are still wondering what is really happening in the region. So we are very fortunate and we are very grateful to have Mr. Ambassador here, because not only as the real expert, but he is also the true practitioners in the world of diplomacy. So we are very totally sure that he can give a full, complete narration to what happened in the regions. So maybe you can add a lot of updates regarding the conflict, because it's already 1.5 years, if I'm not mistaken, the conflict still happening in the Eastern Europe. And the most important aspect of this, for his visit in Universitas Airlangga, it can give further collaborations, not only for the bilateral diplomatic relation between Indonesia and Ukraine, but also to expand the further collaboration between universities in Ukraine and in Indonesia, even though maybe at the moment is still they have very difficult situation to struggle and survive in their country. And last but not least, I would like to welcome again new students of International Relations Study Program, class of 2023. I hope that you are really enjoying to study here, really experiencing the process of being mature. So hopefully that you can do the best version of you while studying and learning in this Orange campus. And I do hope that maybe please raise every questions that maybe still hide in your mind regarding the conflict, or maybe you can also ask about the diplomatic challenges for Ukraine, how to deal with the current situation, because it is a very difficult situation, of course, for Ukraine to deal with the uncertainties. Even though I just misheard that he cannot predict when the conflict will be over. No one can, but maybe Putin can.
We'll discuss it.
So please take very good attention for the lecture, and we do hope that you enjoy the presentation from Mr. Ambassador. And without further ado, I will give the floor to Mr. Ambassador. And thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yes. Okay, the first session will be taken by Mas Ari.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bu Irma. And uh, my good friend, the Ambassador Dr. Vasyl Hamianin. Thank you so much for. It's not the second time, I think it's the third time. The first time was online. I still remember just a couple of weeks after the full-scale invasion started. Yes, there was one we organized. I think we were the very first one who invited the ambassador online at the time to give uh, his thoughts and the current situation at that time. I think it's March or April. So this is the third time, and I'm sure all of you have a lot of questions, and I can see that some of the students already attended the November session. Uh, just by looking at the very first row, but I know that there are some who weren't there during the ambassador's November session. So please raise any questions. I know that the ambassador are very happy if you have a very tough question, and he will definitely answer that. And also, I think it's good if you can also follow uh, the Instagram account of the ambassador or the embassy. They posted a lot of. I think it's getting better. Just to be quite frank, now in the beginning it's quite difficult to see the Ukrainian embassy posted something, but now the content are getting better and more informative, and I'm sure you can also learn more from that. So uh, again, just to uh, give the thought to the ambassador before he started, we will have a conference in November, and we are hoping at the moment that the ambassador will visit again in November together with some other ambassadors for our conference. So hopefully we can organize it. So without further ado, I will give the floor to His Excellency Dr. Vasyl Hamianin. Please give a big round of applause.
I don't like sitting. Saya tak suka duduk. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semuanya. And I wanted to coba to speak some bahasa, but I don't think I can. So saya tak bisa berbahasa Indonesia dengan lancar. So I will speak English. Bahasa Inggris, okay? I will try to be very clear and slow so you can, first of all, any questions are welcome after I finish brief introduction. Any questions are welcome, and it will be like any questions session, yeah? So don't hesitate. Could be questions, personal questions, political questions, social, family, whatever questions you want to ask. No limitations. If I cannot answer, I cannot answer. So it's no worry about that. Second, please accept my warm congratulations. Those students who are the first accepted by the university, Erlangga University, you must be very proud that you became the students of the oldest, I think, university in Jawa Timur and the biggest university in Jawa Timur, especially named, Eastern Indonesia. Wow. Especially named after like a great hero of Indonesia in general, Erlangga Udayana's son, who actually united two kingdoms, big kingdoms. So this is a big history, this is a big personalities, and I think you must be proud. And especially, I wish you to study and work in the way that this university will be proud of you afterwards. So this is very important. Not you proud, but university should be proud of you after you achieve something. And I'm sure you will, because I can see, like, when I come to Surabaya, I always think about Bung Tomo and Pidato Surabaya, and Pemuda Indonesia, Pemuda Kalimantan, Pemuda Jawa, Pemuda Sumatra, gathering together. That was the bad times. That was the dangerous times, and many young people died in those days and weeks and months. but they didn't die in vain. They sacrificed their lives for the sake of you sitting here, singing the Lagu Negara, being proud of your country, being proud of Merah Putih, of Bandera Indonesia, being proud of being citizens of this country, being proud of being students of this country. And actually, the country, your state, is watching you, because Indonesia is a pretty young country, to be honest. Like what, 78 years, nothing like compared to the kingdoms and everything. Ukraine is like 30 years old only, though has the 15 centuries of history of like, and like 11 centuries of recorded history. So we can be really grateful to the people who defended our lives and defended your future, your present. So it's just why I'm talking like this, because I was a student myself, like 33 years ago. I came first to my university, the Kyiv State University in Kyiv, Bukota, Ukraine. And I said, oh my God, I will do all I can. I turned inside out just to study here, just to stay here, never to be expelled, never to be like that. So that was very impressive, and I still remember the feelings. And I could not realize that what I see now, that you will grab the future of this country. You will be the future. The tomorrow of this country belongs to you, not to us. We are old. But no, honestly, this belongs to you, and tomorrow you'll become diplomats and doctors and engineers, whoever. Yeah? At that time, I didn't think like that, but I thought that all the doors are open. All the ways are straight and broad. I can go anywhere. I have energy and force to run 100 kilometers on the top speed. Yeah, that was the feeling. That was the feeling. So I hope you had the same feeling. And maybe finally, before I start telling anything, I just share with you my another feeling. This year I became a father of 3 students already. So now this year I had my daughter and my son were accepted by Kyiv universities. So I have 3 students in the family now. So they will study, but yeah, my daughter will, second daughter will study in medical, and son will study in polytechnical IT in Ukraine, Kyiv. Yeah, that's what their decision. They could study anywhere in Europe, America, or Indonesia. They decided to go back home and study. Yeah, good. We supported this. So. 10 months passed since my last visit here to Surabaya, to Erlangga University. And you remember maybe that time it was pretty different. Now, first of all, what we see now in the political map of the world, we see the obvious changes since the beginning of a big war and big invasion of Russian Federation to Ukraine. I would say, not to say 1.5 years, but 550 days, 600 days ago, the world was different. And it's not because I'm from Ukraine, it's because the world was different. And now someone asked me, why everywhere, whenever we go, whatever conference we attend, whatever summit or forum we attend, they all discuss the war of Russia against Ukraine. It's the main topic. I say, because this changes the world. This is the history that is being created at the moment. What else big events can you mention, like in terms of practical result and practical decision? The last one was BRICS summit. So did you see any practical outcome of that? How did the results of BRICS summit influence the world or change the world, or even endeavor to change the world? Like any attempt of changing the world? No. But what we have now in Ukraine, unfortunately for Ukraine, this changes everything. This changes the rules, not just the geopolitics, changes the rules. What it should not change, as I see it, it should not change our values. because the values is something we have all have in common. Okay, here in this place, ada orang Surabaya? Orang East Java, not from Surabaya but East Java. Jabar, Sumatra, Kalimantan. You see, I'm not asking more, but you represent the different places of this country. Maybe I'm sure you represent different religions, right? So you're not just Muslims or Christians. Maybe you have Hinduists or whatever, yeah. So, but what is important about you? Same in Ukraine. We have many religions, many ethnic groups. Only Christian religions in Ukraine, we have at least 6, I think, like different. And they were not very friendly to each other in past times. You're Catholic, I'm Orthodox. Oh, your religion is not right, yeah? Not correct. We'd better get friends with Muslims than with your Catholics, yeah? Was like 100 years ago. But what we have in common? Nilai, nilai. This is crucial things we get, because don't tell me about Putin or about someone like these guys, but you feel, even if you don't answer me, you ask yourself, what is important for you in your life? What is important? I would say friendship, maybe love to your parents, to your kids, to your sisters, brothers, maybe to your friends, yeah? Maybe tolerance for someone. You know, not to kill the people because he's not Christian. Yeah? This is what we call tolerance. Or maybe not to kill anyone because he's not of black color of the skin. Yeah? So this is what we call tolerance. Maybe humanity and the ability to be sympathetic toward the pain of other people. Or even not the people, even the animals. You pass a cat injured, you don't pass it. You pick it up and get to the hospital and get it treated somehow. Even if he dies or she, you still did something to trying to save him or her. Yeah? This is humanity. You don't need to be Indonesian, you don't need to be, I don't know, Malaysian, Chinese or Ukrainian to help the child dying of hunger. You just need to be human being. You don't need to speak languages or pray to your gods. You just need to be human being. Yeah? Maybe justice? Maybe justice. So these are values that we have deep inside our hearts, and nothing else is more important than that. Nothing more important. All the rest is building the ruang-ruang, or yeah, on gedung-gedung, on the fundament. And fundament is your nilai-nilai, is your principle. Nothing more important than that. So, going back to the story is, many things changed, and if you can, by the way, thank you, Master Aditya, about the request. Yeah, if you can follow me and the embassy on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, I don't know what you use. Please do, because we need your attention. I would not even say the support. We need your attention. Why? Not because other things, but because by trying to find out the truth, ya, kebenaran, you will become closer and closer and more firmly supporting of these nilai-nilai. Without truth, there will be no principles and no values. The values will be like dreams, like mirage in the desert, unless you really find the kebenaran. Kebenaran is very important. And you can find it by yourself only. You will not find it in the media, you will not find it in social media, you will not find it in my words. You have to dig yourself. Take the instrument and dig. Otherwise, if you don't dig, you will be walking on the dirty ground, and you never know there is a gold and diamonds hidden under this ground. You will never know unless you work hard. That's the point. So now you can check the media back from 2020, February 22 till now. Things changed a lot in Ukraine and in the world. People thinking geopolitically, people started to, somebody started to notice this immediately. Somebody just started to notice now that things change globally. It's not about one region that something bad happens, people die, and nobody cares actually, whatever, it's far away, yeah? Things changed globally. We had the huge problem globally with food security, with food supplies. We have problems with energy prices and energy supplies, which influences like at the chain, yeah, at the chain reaction. It influences everything else because food and fuel, like energy, are the basics for every price we have in our markets, in our shops, and the basic costs of our lives. So it changed globally. We have financial problems, trading. We have logistics problems because I think logistics problems because the freedom of sailing was not jeopardized by Russian military ships and military aggression, etc., etc., etc. So we have a lot of processes is happening. But what is important? Before I start, just to introduce my country to you, before I start this, if you find the early statements of the Russian leaders in February, March, April 2022 and compare them what they say now, you'll find out very interesting trend. In 2022, the all media of Russia, all the leaders, all the politicians, they used to say, we want to demilitarize Ukraine, we want to like basically occupy Ukrainian territories, and we want to kill or destroy all the Nazi that seized the power in Ukraine, blah, 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 blah. Now they talk, oh, we have to defend Moscow. Moscow in threat. Moscow is under threat. We have to defend our territories. We don't have these Ukrainian like orcs and warriors to invade our territory. We have to defend Moscow from the air attacks, blah, 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 blah. It's very different. Yeah? Now, as the future diplomats and politicians, you might ask yourself a question. How one of the biggest countries in the world, with 17 million square kilometers of the territory, with 140 millions of population, with endless resources, with the seat in the United Nations Security Council, with the nuclear weapons, like second in the world, I think, after the, I don't know who. Now it's complicated, but still, it's a huge amount of nuclear warheads, with the absolute dominance in the air, on the sea, on the ground, in all types of weapons, how this country failed to actually conquer the small Ukraine without nuclear weapons and effectively without the capable army at that. Without. I know what I'm talking about. How? Now we go back to a brief introduction. Yeah? For some people who already know, for some, but many of you still don't know. Okay, my country geographically is the biggest country situated fully in Europe. Yeah, so it's biggest European country fully in Europe because Russia is like Eurasian country. We are European country, so it's the biggest one with a population of around 42 million people. It's one of the richest reserves in black soil, good for agriculture. I think it's like, they say it's up 20 to 40% of all black soils of the world available for agriculture. So it's a huge amount. And this was made, this is exactly what made Ukraine very attractive for all the invaders during this century. Since the first written mentioning and written records of Ukraine and of that territory, which was exactly, some of them were like 1,000 years ago, some of them 1,500 years ago, some of them even before Christ. These territories were very rich, with good climate, with huge resources of food and fish and whatever, everything, with very good, how do you say, the geological, it's mostly plains, yeah, no, landscapes, yes. So mostly plains, so the highest mountain in Ukraine is only 2,000 meters, and it's like this. So it's not like, like rocks, just nice mountains with plenty of wood, plenty of wild animals living there. So it's kind of like the paradise for the people to live. Yeah, if we don't take into account the sometimes -30 in winter, then yeah, really paradise. I hate cold. Challenge for me. Every winter I wait. How many degrees it will be. But basically, it's a beautiful place, and that's why Ukrainian people had two peculiar features through the ages. This is again, it's not me telling you this. It's like records from the historical books, from the travelers, from the recorders. These guys who were recording the battles and things. So they were recording two things. Ukrainians are main things. There are many like smaller, but the bigger one is this. Ukrainians are very resourceful. They love the ground. They love the soil. They want to work, and they work all the time. Like we're doing something, planting, gathering, and that's why they look like the tame animals, like very calm people who just don't argue with you. They can be offended, but they don't respond. Hey, you think I'm stupid? Yes, I'm stupid. Just stupid. But when the danger comes to the country, they become wild Vikings that will kill everyone who comes to the land. This funny thing. So people change immediately, and they become like merciless killers of any invader. And this can be applied to like 90% of the people now. Absolutely. So when they work, they feel like toys. When they fight, they feel like Valkyries who just kill everything on their way, defending their land, defending their family. So basically, these two characteristics that really now we realize they'd never gone, they'd never disappeared. We still have them. Good to have this slide. No, back one back. No, just this slide. Oh yeah, this next one. Yeah, this one. Vyshyvanka. This is sort of Ukrainian batik. It's our genetic code. It's our national code, which represents the pattern, and the colors represent the different districts, areas, and cultures in Ukraine. So nearly, not just big regions, but nearly every small districts in Ukraine can have their own colors, their own patterns, their own, everything is very different. So for example, the place when I come from is central Ukraine, the cradle of Ukrainian civilization. It has the colors that my friends in Bali say, oh, it's colors. It's Brahma and Vishnu and Shiva. It's like what? Like red, black and white. I say, yes, it's red, black and white. It's Ukrainian colors, my colors of my batik Ukraine. So it's interesting, and I really hope that this will become one day it will become the national attire, like batik in your country. Maybe this is boring for many. Yeah, maybe go. Basically this introduction, this presentation was made for the variety of people you can be from different backgrounds, different age, different professions, etc. So this slide just before that, it just proves what I just said. Maybe it was a big mistake of Russians to make this, to invade this country. But main thing is what surprised me somehow, not very surprised, but surprised somehow. From the small kids to the old people, they say one phrase. First, we want to be here, and we want to die rather than to become slaves. And if we die free people. We die free. We don't die slaves. Full stop, and then we can turn the page. That's what my mother says. That's what my children say. If we die, we want to die defending the country, not as slaves, but as free people. Yeah. What time do we have? We still have some time. So, talking about Ukrainian background in general, it's famous for a few things, basically worldwide. It's famous for, as I mentioned, for its black soils, and as a result, for its agricultural resources. So we used to produce. We're not the biggest producer of everything, agriculturally, but we are definitely one of the biggest exporters, because we produce food in quantities much more than required by our country. So if we produce 60 million tons of grains, we export 40 to 45 maybe, and only a small amount we consume ourselves. So this is the big source of grains. Why? Anticipating the questions, people also always ask me why the Ukrainian grains that may be compose, I don't know what, like maybe 5% of the world market, maybe, or maybe 10% of the world market, will change dramatically, they will so much influence the price. Why? The answer is very clear. It's not about how many percent do we provide for the world market. It's very important, the price. And Ukrainian grains is not expensive. It's cheaper than even Russian, it's cheaper than Australian, cheaper than Canadian, US, etc. It's a Chinese, etc. Yeah, it's cheap. Meaning, when it goes to the market, the prices will drop. And it doesn't matter where do we supply these grains to. Finally, it goes to Europe, to the US, to China, or to Indonesia, or to Africa. It does not matter. What matters is the world prices will drop. And if there is a lack of few million tons of grains, like we used to provide, like I mentioned already, 40 to 50, maybe to 60 million tons of grains to the world markets. And last year it was 20, half of the usual amount. Then prices will jump, easy. Less proposition, more demand, and the prices will go up. And for you, maybe it's not a big issue, okay? So you used to spend, say, okay, I don't know, $10 a day for food out of your, I don't know, $50 allowance. I don't know, maybe for a month. Whatever figures, yeah? Now you spend not $10 of 50, but $12 of 50. It's okay. You will not buy something else, but it's okay. But for the people in India, in Africa, some African countries, in Bangladesh, etc., they spend $1 a day out of $2. Now they have to spend $2 out of $2. It's a shock. It's a crisis, and it's a problem. That's why the supply of food, the stability of food, is such a big issue in the world. It's not a small issue. That's why we have the World Food, WFO, yeah? The World Food, FAO, something like that. So we have major discussions on the international level, in G20, G7, I don't know, UN, etc. How to deal with it, how to ensure that prices will not jump and how to ensure that people are not starving. And it's not just about people starving. It's about the social unrest. They can lead to the revolutions. They can lead to wars. They can lead to refugees. They can lead to chaos in many regions. So something is not delivered from Ukraine can cause the hungry, angry, and like dangerous people polluting any region in the world. You just realize this. We are living in a small world. It's not like, what, 200 years ago, 100 years ago. You get on the plane, 12, 20 hours, you are in the other side of the world. Easy. You can just reach any part of the world. And for those clever people, like they can manipulate through the computers, they can reach all the money of the world just sitting somewhere in jungles, but having good internet. So it's the truth. Yeah. So the world is getting smaller, and anything happening in that part of the world will influence the rest of the world immediately. So yeah, you can see here the share of commodities we sell to wheat, like gandum, like corn, China, yeah, champion. And where is Indonesia? Over there. Over there is Indonesia. But Indonesia is only here. Don't think it's just that simple. Look at the percentage of the other countries around the region. India, Egypt, Egypt again, Bangladesh, Pakistan. It's big countries around the world. Now they have a problem of price rising. All of them suffer the price rising, which will lead to everything I just mentioned. Can we go further? Yeah. Another funny and amazing and amusing, I don't know what, feature of Ukrainians. You are living in the country with the wonderful, even legendary traditions of the kingdom. You have many kingdoms, and still in Bali there are like 17 kings, I think, still, and offsprings of those big kings. And you still have like Raja Ratu Ratu, Boris Jawa Ratu Joyoboyo is a famous one from Kediri, and everybody knows in the world, I think. And in Ukraine, we have some famous kings of the old times, but the difference is, we're only on the old times, but the difference is these kings were elected. So I think Ukraine, in terms of real direct democracy, was one of the earliest direct democracies known, because Greek democracy was built on the slaves working there in the mines, yeah. And in Ukraine, 1500 years ago, like 5th century, 4th century, 5th century, was direct democracy. People come to the square and say, you are clever and brave, you'll be our king, come. I say, oh no, I don't want. Come, we want you to be a king. Now he comes to be, and then he rules for a year and say, then people say, okay, he's a bad ruler. Come again. We don't want you. Go back, go away. And this is our unique feature, and this is our curse also. Why? Because we never had a very stable kingdom. Well, we had the stable kingdoms, but for a very short time. Maybe 2 or 3 leaders, and then again, like someone bad comes, weak and useless, and then this kingdom goes down. So, but the fact is the fact. We never had the kings that we did not elect. All elected. Yeah. Funny story. Why Ukraine has the colors of blue and yellow? Why? And one of my favorite historians in Ukraine proved somehow these colors come from Sweden, come from the Nordic nations. So Sweden flag also blue and yellow. The colors of Vikings. Why? Because at some point of the history, Ukrainians thought they found themselves unable to rule ourselves. Everybody wants to be a king, but people don't agree. What to do? Oh, we don't agree you are a king. And then many parties like partai, and they cannot choose the president, right? So, and then what? They decided, okay, we cannot rule ourselves. Let's invite the foreigner to rule ourselves. So we invited someone from the Nordic countries, And they started the big dynasty of rulers because the Vikings came and there was a king. So, okay, come here, but if you don't like you, we'll kill you. So rule well. So they brought the army, they brought the traditions, they brought the this Trisula. Trisula is Ukrainian coat of arms. It also comes from Vikings, from Nordic, because originally there were like one and two Vikings hats. Remember? So this is famous. So you can check it. This was Ukraine, ruling ourselves, but always disagreeing about everything. Yeah. So we have even the story that one Ukrainian is a warrior, two Ukrainians is an army, three Ukrainians is the two commanders and one warrior, and this is a problem. Like in three people, there are two commanders, two leaders. Yeah. So they never agree between, and then it will split into one leader and an army consists of two people. But maybe this is the history that dictated us to change our mind. And when we obtained independence, we fought for independence from Russia actually, and sometimes from Turkey, sometimes from Austrian Empire, sometimes from Poland, partially different parts of Ukraine fight for independence. But basically, for the last 350 years, our fight was against Russian Empire for independence. And the problem is we had big battles, we have big resistance. We showed the such an examples of resilience and force, but we never succeeded. Did you know that, Second World War, yeah? Perang Dunia Kedua, yeah? Perang Dunia? Oh. So when it ended? 1945. Do you know when the war of Ukrainian resistance ended in the Soviet Union, already like a Soviet territory? 1953. And Soviet Union was a strong, they have a very strong Kopassus there, yeah? So able of killing everyone, and very strong special forces, especially looking for the people who don't agree with the Bolshevik ideology, don't agree with communists and everything. And Ukrainian resistance army managed to survive for 8 years. It's crazy in the western part of Ukraine. The people under the threat of death were helping those people, were helping the fighters, and it's great. But we never succeeded. Yeah. Finally, we were too weak to resist the big Soviet Union, to resist like millions of communists and things. So they were defeated. And 30 years ago, all of a sudden, unexpectedly, they say, okay, Ukrainians, do you want to be independent? Yes. 90% voted for independence. And we declared independence. So easy. And it's wrong to say no one, but many people warned us that this independence should not be free. You should really pay for it. If you didn't pay, be careful, because you can turn your mind into something wrong mood. And then people didn't listen. And they just followed this, like communist ideology that, everything belongs to us. We're like, blah, blah, blah. I would not go deep into this. But we were still feeling ourselves close to the big, strong, and bad dictatorship that used to be in the Soviet Union. Many people in Ukraine thought like that. Oh, Russia is a friend, like traditional friend. Let's not be bad to Russia. How can we bad to Russia? Again, many people ask me this question. Was Ukraine treating Russians bad? I can say anything. You can believe me or not, but I will rather provide you facts. Last 30 years, since we gained the independence in 1991, you can check. All the border guards of Ukraine were situated in the western borders with Poland, Romania. in the eastern borders, people just crossing Russia, Ukraine. They just cross the border. Village here is Russia, village here is Ukraine. All the brothers living here, sisters living here, they go to visit each one every day. Nobody cares. There are some points of border control, but nobody cares. Second, absolute dominance of Russian literature, Russian books, Russian newspapers, Russian TV in the eastern part of Ukraine. Just dominance. Why? For the books, for example. Russian books were subsidized by Russian government. So when they deliver to Ukraine, they're still cheaper than Ukrainian books in Ukraine, not subsidized by Ukrainian government. They're cheaper. Russians invested millions and billions of dollars into TV program, into the content, into movies. So they make movies that look attractive to many people. The people watch it. And they prefer to watch Russian. Half of Ukrainian population speak Russian as their native language, mother language. They can speak Ukrainian sometimes, but sometimes even not. But many people speak Russian as their native language. We had hundreds of Russian schools. Unlike Russia, they don't have Ukrainian schools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everything. And I don't know who can ever believe that like Russian culture, Russian language, Russian whatever was oppressed and endangered in Ukraine. So that was a big story. And when at one point people were hesitating whether to join the European Union and NATO or not, Russians were pressing on us that we should not join the European Union and NATO. Instead, we should join the Commonwealth of Independent States, become one big country as it were we were before, like Belarus, Russia, Kazakhstan, and Ukraine will be strong again, will be nice again, etc., 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 etc. But at one point in 2013, Ukrainians disagreed, even on the level of the government, which was very, very corrupt, more corrupt than in Indonesia. They really, really bad, yeah. So these guys said to Russians, people, we want to join the European Union because it's about economy. We want to be prosperous. We want to earn money. We want to develop, to get technologies, etc. It's nothing contradictory. We will still cooperate with you. We'll be friends, blah, blah, blah. And Russia say, no, we will not allow you to do this. And then the people came to the streets. Again, like in good old times, 1500 years ago, they came to the square and say, President, we don't like you. Step down and go away. That's what we did. And it was not a joke. In one day on the streets of capital, Ibu Kota, it was like 1 million people. With the population 3.5 million, including children and old people. 1 million on the streets in one day. It was like flooded over there. Yeah, here. It's like one street, and a lot of square you will not see. They were flooded with the people, standing, protesting. And then everything started. So after that, it was just a chain of events. President, then president, left Ukraine. He just escaped. But before he escaped, you've taken all the money from the banks, all the currency, all the gold. So we found ourselves like, oops, empty. Treasury is empty. No money for anything. No president, no money, no government. Everybody's fled. And next day, Russia attacked Crimea and occupied Crimea as a part of our land and on the south of Ukraine. And at that time, our government was not, temporary government was not capable of doing anything. Nobody knows the reasons, but they did not give the order to resist and to liberate our territory at that time. And that's how it started. And the war we have in Ukraine, actually it started in 2014. And Now we are talking about big, full-scale invasion from all directions. And we're talking about the tens of thousands of Ukrainians killed. Only in 2014, 15,000 Ukrainians were killed, only in less than 1 year in Donbass. 15,000, only 1 year. And there was the big war, and there was the big invasion. And it was big tragedy. So we have the 550 days of the war that lasts 9 years. So that's the contradiction here. Maybe I would stop here, maybe 5 minutes more, I'll stop here and you'll ask me questions. But something important to understand before you ask any questions. In these years, during this big invasion, the scale of crimes, war crimes committed against the civilians, the scale of crimes against humanity committed by Russians in Ukrainian territory, made every Ukrainian understand one thing. Maybe not every Ukrainian, but statistics tells me that it's about 92 to 95% of Ukrainians think that we cannot just say, oh, we forgive you. Let's embrace each other and forget about everything. We will not agree upon freezing the conflict, stopping the fighting, stopping the ceasefire, they call it, when the part of our territories are occupied and part of our people, our population, are under occupation. And we know from the territories liberated already, from this temporary occupation, what happened there, and the level of I don't know the right word for this. It's cannot be described in words what people felt during those times. When the parents saw the children being raped and then killed in the eyes, and then parents were killed, and then put into mass grave, and it's massive crime. So we cannot just wait and let the citizens of my country just stay under occupation and just suffer because everybody wants ceasefire. No. We can discuss, we can talk, but we are not discussing our sovereignty, we're not discussing our people, we're not discussing our freedom, territorial integrity. We're not discussing this. And then I come back to this point on freedom. Maybe quoting Bung Tomo at that time, we can get the white flag, but we have enough blood to make it red. So that's not my words, that's words of Tomo and many Ukrainians who still fight, have been fighting now for 9 years, some of them, non-stop. So maybe I will stop on that point, yeah? It's a little description, and then I will welcome your questions. You can help to moderate the questions, because it's, yeah,
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, please give a big round of applause to Pak Vasyl. And now we're open for question and answer. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let me just pick one from. Okay, maybe not from the first row. Let me. Okay.
Please excuse my pronunciation because I don't speak Ukrainian. Dobroho ranku. Considering the war in Ukraine and how complicated it is. I also notice how currently the war in Ukraine is in decline because Russian forces are in decline. And most Russians now support Ukrainian and opposes the war because of how inhumane it is. My main concern is, does the war in Ukraine be able to trickle down and affect other nations globally to such a scale not dissimilar to that of a Third World War? What are your personal views on the war? And do you think that if we, as other countries who are not in war, might be in correlation, might actually affect the world? Is a Third World War a potential? From your views, from your own knowledge, is my main topic. Is a Third World War potentially able to happen? Is my main concern. Diakuyu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Matur nuwun. Dakuyu is very correct answer. Answering this, actually this topic can be the topic of special lecture for, give me 3 hours, I will explain everything about the Second World War and Third World War. But briefly, what is this World War? What is World War? The World War is the war that involves many nations of the world. Many. And it's just not just if it is like if the nations are fighting physically, maybe it's when nations are influenced or participating somehow or trying to put the end of it or just trying to do something. So maybe we are already having Third World War. I don't know. It will depend on your definitions. But now I can tell you for sure, the whole world is influenced or involved. The whole world is influenced somehow or involved in the war. Full stop. So you tell me who is not involved, who is not influenced. China is influenced badly because of the trade and communication and the supply chains and logistics is damaged. Yeah? Indonesia, well, Indonesia was presiding in G20. Indonesia is presiding in ASEAN, and it had to be involved somehow, you know, to contribute to deal with this. Pak Joko Widodo visited Ukraine at that time. It was like top brave decision because he was the only one leader of all the rest of the world, a part of Europe and the US, who visited Ukraine at that time. Yeah. So, were you involved? Yes, you were involved. If you talk about the scale and damage, it was, to some extent, it was less than during the Second World War. To other extent, the nature of modern wars is different. The nature of war is different. It's not like it was 8 years ago. But I will tell you this: in the main towns of Ukraine, like cities like Kyiv, Odessa, Lviv, like famous ones, yeah, like my Dnipro, like Kharkiv, there are still in the center of the towns, the center of the cities, there are plenty, like very densely built objects that belong to the 10th century, 15th century, 19th, 20th century. That means that they were not damaged during the Second World War. That means that German Nazi did not drop bombs on my towns. They actually, when they are attacking the Soviet Union and Ukraine, they damage the aerodromes, the military objects, etc. But they don't drop the bombs physically on the cities, on the capitals, because everything is there, nothing damaged, or rebuilt, or reconstructed, none. Meaning what? What Russians do every day. Every day, 550, every day we have the air defense, Syrian and everything. Yeah. If you ask me about the nuclear weapons, whether it be used, and this will mean the Third World War, the damage caused by Russians when they destroyed the river dam in Kakhovka, the damage already is equal to really serious bombardment, tactical nuclear bombardment of this region. Uh, in one day, 700,000 people found themselves without houses, without water, without food, without shelter, without everything. In one day. Look at Mariupol, 500,000 citizens destroyed to the ground. Now we have like 5,000 maybe out of 500,000. The population decreased 100 times. And the scale of destruction of cities in the eastern Ukraine is very equal to Hiroshima, Nagasaki. It's just not me. It's not me saying this. The people, the experts, who will just compare the damages to what extent they were destroyed. They were not destroyed just in one click, one bomb, but they were destroyed by thousands of bombs, thousands of missiles, and artillery and everything. Does it mean anything? I don't know. And third, what's my treatment of that? Now we see the situation when one country, I would not say one man, one country blackmails the rest of the world and keeps you hostages, all the world. The country keeps you all hostages. It says, if you don't listen to me, I will make this, this, and this. I will make nuclear strike. I will destroy the dam. I will destroy the power station, nuclear power station in Ukraine. I will make people starve in Africa and Asia. What is this? No, my answer is, look, if the world community says no, this will be the end, beautiful friend. Yeah? Full stop on that point. Only because he feels support from outside, from somewhere outside. He never stops, threatening, blackmailing, and doing what he does. So my treatment of this is that. And, the scale of damages to our economy, the scale of damages to our infrastructure, the number of people dead, including number of Russians killed in Ukraine. It's around 260,000 of soldiers, of invaders killed. 260 young men of Russian Federation were sent and died. It's only statistics, maybe more. And around, I think, times 3 wounded and injured. Think. So you ask about my attitude. My attitude is that, as my president said, I think I will quote it correctly, but the idea was that, or maybe not president, but someone from the army, general or someone, when you discuss that maybe we should stop the war now, maybe if they stop now, less people will die, etc., etc. The people, the 500 children already killed in Ukraine, and the tens of thousands of people lost their houses, lost their friends, lost their children, lost their parents. They don't want to hear this. They don't want this. If we, it's finally, yeah, how to stop the war, yeah. They say, well, who can stop the war? If Russia stops the war, this will be end of war. If Ukraine stops the war, it will be end of Ukraine. No one in Ukraine wants to have the end of my country, like end. Full stop end, like total end. Because Russians say from the TV, we don't want Ukraine to exist. We don't want Ukrainian people to exist. We don't want this name to exist. How can we treat this? If we stop, we'll be non-existent. Yeah? So my personal belief, there will be no apocalyptic war, as whatever you mentioned. There will be no apocalyptic war. For many, 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 many reasons. If they can use their nuclear weapons, blah, blah, blah. This is one of the reasons. Russian super duper modern missiles, calibers and Kinjals, they were launched on Ukraine. And they were deployed like in 2019. It's like super modern, super sound, whatever, blah, 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 missiles that cannot be intercepted, cannot be blah, 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 are being 100% intercepted by the American systems Patriots, produced in 80s. So technologically, Russia is like 2 generations behind. if we really have the Patriots produced in recent years, or Tomahawk or something like, that will be the end of Russian technology and Russian whatever it is. So I don't believe that people who are not able to produce toilet paper will produce the nice like nuclear weapons that can really hit the targets or something. No. But it will really depend on the on the world to say, are we allowing Russia to use nuclear weapons or not? If we don't allow Russia to use the nuclear weapons, put the Patriots along the border, and whatever flies out of Russia will be intercepted on the Russia's territory and destroyed, never reaching other territories. The civilized countries are capable of doing this. Trust me. No problem technologically, no problem in that. And Russia, I repeat, the country that cannot produce toilet paper on their own, cannot produce decent cars, cannot produce anything but death. They cannot even produce the oil and gas without foreign imported equipment. They can produce nothing. How can they produce high-tech whatever? Please. Yeah?
Maybe we can open for another question from this side.
I'll try to
I
be
saw
fast.
someone-
Thank you for the chance to asking a question. So yeah, when this war is over, do you think Ukraine can recover their economy, politics, and others?
It's a brief question. I will answer briefly. Ukraine will recover everything. It's not about the economy. It's not about anything. It's about the people. If we preserve, if we save our people, we will be able to recover everything. Look at the Europe after the Second World War. Look at China after the Second World War. Look at Indonesia after the Second World War, after your independence. What was here? Like, it's really like, now look at you. Modern country with everything, like using Honda and Toyota and everything. Oh my God, please. And I watched your F-16 flying over the Istana Merdeka. Wow, you are a modern country. But 70 years ago, it was not. 70 years ago, Europe was in ruins, and Asia was in ruins. And then what? People are crucial. We can do this. Where do we get money? The answer was in the conference we are having every period. I don't know, once, twice a year, 3 times a year. Last was in London, and then it was the conference of rebuilding Ukraine. Now, 2 things. They were discussing the sources of finance, and they were discussing the insurance for investments. So we invited Indonesian companies. None came, but we will hope next time maybe Indonesian companies will fancy to participate. It will be big. This year it was 13 billion, 14 billion. Next year it will be $35 billion for rebuilding Ukrainian infrastructure. So main thing is about people. And then you've heard the statement of European and American politicians. They say that all the resources of currency resources of Russian Federation, now frozen in the US and the European countries, will be frozen till the time when Russia will compensate and clear all the reparations to damage caused to Ukraine. This will be the end game. Next question.
What a bliss day,
Fine, fine,
everyone.
fine.
My likely here after confusion about the issues that have come this far about the conflict. Thank you for the chance, and I'm standing here since I'm on my confession state. And please allow me to find the best answer by this chance. I was wondering what are some of the most successful diplomatic initiatives taken by Ukraine to resolve its conflicts with Russia. Since I'm sure diplomacy absolutely play a good role in resolving the conflicts. Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. A very diplomatic question. Yeah? Diplomacy plays the crucial role in resolving any conflicts unless the other side does not want to react. So when diplomats stop talking, the cannons start. Who said this? I don't remember, but there was some. I think some very prominent diplomat or military. Diplomacy, it's like marriage. It takes two. Yeah, it's like dancing. It takes two to dance, not just one. So if we talk and they just don't talk, there will be no way to diplomacy. Say, guy, turn your head to me and listen to me. Respond to me and say, there will be no diplomacy. Unfortunately, we are facing. It will not be easy for you to understand Russia because I lived in this country for 50 years, right? So I understand them. What is they look like actually like religious sect. You know, like in Japan, it was like Aum Shinrikyo, so or in some, they are obeying the leader like blindly. So look at them, no protests, nothing. No one from the government resigned. No one protested. The only one protested by Prigozhin was not about the politics. It was about money. And then he paid already full price, yeah? So this is about Russia. Now, diplomacy can be efficient in any case. But if diplomacy fails to put the end to the conflict or war, diplomacy will redirect the efforts to gain the support from the people of the goodwill. Because if the small country is under attack, it's natural that we will ask for some support and assistance. Yeah, it's very natural. Ukraine is not such a small, very small country, but imagine in the 1939, Soviet Union attacked Finland. Finland was like, what, 3 million people. And Soviet Union was like 200 million people, or 150 million people, a lot. And what? Without this support, it will be hard for them to fight. Without this support, it would be hard for us to fight. So, diplomatic achievement of Ukraine during last, I would say, well, we've been working on this since 2014, as I mentioned, 2014. But the achievement by today, by the date, yeah, is that we really managed to make the people of the world to open their eyes and look at the problem directly. One of the tools that we used is peace formula of President Zelensky. Peace formula, 10 points, was presented during the G20 summit. You check in Bali, and now it's like widely spread all over the world because it's built on not on Ukrainian aspirations. Is built on the UN Charter. And every point has the reference to the UN Charter article or to some resolutions or anything. Yeah? So it's built on the UN. So it should be widely accepted, right? It should be acceptable to anyone, any member of the world community. Yeah? Except of Russia, of course. So there's one. And we had already, I think, 2 rounds of multilateral communication on this peace formula. One took place in Copenhagen, and one took place very recently in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia, and Indonesia took part in this. It was like 60. What? How many countries? Like a lot. Yeah. It was the global South representatives, not just like West and the global South. So it was big representation, and now our government communicates regularly to the ambassadors based in Kyiv and through the diplomatic channel to the governments. So we are doing this. We are trying to build up the peace formula and bring it to the world and make it come true. I mean, I think this is the biggest diplomatic achievement of Ukraine is that now we are safe. We are alive, okay? We're not safe, but we're alive. And Ukraine can survive. This is the biggest achievement of our diplomacy, I think. Otherwise, we will be non-existent anymore. Yeah.
We'll take the last 3 questions, but in a very short.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
It's me that talk too
wabarakatuh.
much, not them. Questions are good.
Good morning or good afternoon, Mr. Vasyl. Well, I wanted to ask you a question. We knew that many people of Indonesia were supporting Russian invasion of Ukraine, and a lot of them were influenced by the Russian propaganda. They're really good at, religious narrative propaganda things, And what I wanted to ask is there any effort that be done by the Ukrainian ambassador to counter this Russian influence, to tell the people of Indonesia that the Russian invasion of Ukraine is against humanity, against morale and things? That's all my questions, sir. And lastly, Slava Ukraine.
Good question. Thank you.
Maybe we take one more question and then you answer. So one from here, maybe.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Ambassador. So my question is regarding the migration issue. We all know that the case of Crimea and Donbass, and now the Ukraine and Russian war. So how does the government see the migration issue? Like, we know that some of the people in Ukraine starting to migrate to the country neighbor next to the Ukraine. How does the government make sure that the country Ukraine is still a safe place to live? Thank you.
Okay, two questions. I'll start from the migration things. It's not easy because many people, we have like around 7 million people became refugees abroad, and around 7 million people were displaced persons. So they moved from their homes because of the destroyed or because of the abandoned or occupied, I don't know. So they moved to other places. And now the government is in a very difficult position because it has to provide huge finances to the people there. But basically, we can arrange the dwelling, and we can, for the people who remained in Ukraine. And the government is trying to support people in terms of like employment, because are employed, if people have jobs, if people can generate like profits, cash, yeah, if people can establish new businesses, then the country, the society will survive. So there are programs on that. And definitely, for people who are living in the Europe or America somewhere, we cannot reach them. So they will on their own. They get some support from the friendly countries there, and some of them are allowed to work. So they get green cards and they work like legally, and they generate a lot of. So actually, a lot of people abroad are very happy. In some countries, they say, "Oh my God, Ukrainians, nice guys, come here," and they just resolved a lot of problems with with finding seasonal jobs or something. So at present, we have the programs of how to make people return to Ukraine, and how to assign them to this or that jobs, how to create new jobs, the employment problem, yeah. So the problem of generating new jobs, basically, yeah. We have the programs on that, but it's unpredictable what can happen in any particular region, and it's still unpredictable when the war can be stopped, when the invader can be defeated and kicked off the land. There's a problem. So unless we know that, well, any project will be like will be implemented step by step. It cannot be implemented like sitting here and 5 years, for 10 years, not yet. The government is working on this very seriously. This is a big. We have to people are the main factor here. So to Ukraine, we'll need money, but we will need definitely the people will come back and actually rebuild it. Without creating jobs, without creating attractive conditions for them, people will not be keen to to come back and be settled back in Europe. They will not be easy to attract them back. But if you give them attractive conditions, they will definitely come back. Ukrainians always come back. This is like story, yeah, about this. And the second question is what should we do? Okay, I'll tell you maybe one word will answer your questions. Resources. Russians have been spending billions of dollars through decades. It's not just last 20 years. It's decades to contaminate the people's minds with the ideas that Russians never attack other countries. Russians are not aggressors. Russians never start the war. Russians are friends. Russians give you this. Russians, and this is all like 90% of this is mythology. It's not true. Even those events that took place during the Soviet times, so big friendship with the Soviet Union, right? Nobody tells you that many things were built, provided, designed by other people, like Ukrainians. For example, in the Soviet Union, iron and steel plants were designed, built, and constructed, and engineered, and maintained by Ukrainians. It's our specialty. So, just one example for that. What should I do? If I get the two ways. Finance, so I can generate the content, or support of the people. Every repost you can do from your Instagram, every sharing of the article, of the interview, of any actually media of Indonesia is very positive. Media, I just discovered in recent few months, especially, there are no propaganda, disinformation. Very little, very little. They are really like describing what's going on. So in Bahasa, no problem on that. But under this, I see thousands of comments. Oh, you know, like, yeah, I would not repeat what they say. But why? I think this is a matter of under-education. It's people who don't have real knowledge. They're not well educated, and they were contaminated. Try to consume these huge volumes of propaganda for a long time, and then in one night, overnight, you say, oh, I was wrong. Nobody will say this. Even in Ukraine, many people still believe that Soviet Union was a good country and Stalin was a nice man. Please. Honestly, this is crazy. Even now, some people say, oh, we need Stalin. Stalin maintained discipline in our society. So we need someone like Stalin. In Russia, it's like it's total trend, overwhelming. They love him. But even in Ukraine, some people say, oh, Soviet Union was not so bad. You know, ice cream was so tasty and was so sweet and cheap. And I say, of course, I remember, I love the Soviet Union because I was younger. I was young and healthy. Now I'm old and ill, yeah? So I don't like now. I want to go back. Of course you want to go back. This is, yeah. So we try to do something. And really, a lot will depend on the, how to say, opinion leaders. So this is really important because many people, they are, we call it, they are more passive. Some people are very active. They act, they share, they prove, they try to find out the truth. Some people are being led by the opinion leaders. So if opinion leaders don't say anything, people just say, okay, maybe we are wrong. And we don't really care, it's far away. So yeah, I would not say that Indonesian people are supporting Russia. I would just say that they are mistaken, misled, just led into the wrong direction, and they just don't have any reason to know the truth. That's it. If you don't have any reason to say, oh, what happened in Syria? Oh, yeah. What? Syria. Some people write to me, oh, you are racist. So why? Because you support that, this video in India, that Ukrainian athlete did not shake hands with Iranian athlete, because Iran is supporting the Russian regime, selling shahed that kill Ukrainians, and he didn't shake hands with him and say, yeah, I understand, I can accept this. Why? Oh, you are racist. So why I'm racist? Because you hate Arab people. So please, first, he's not Arab, he's Persian. Yeah. So don't be ignorant to this extent. Second, I have many friends with, from all over the world. Call me racist. It's ridiculous. Everyone will laugh at you. Like that. So people just don't want to know. And then I say, you know what? You hate you hate Palestinians, that's why we hate you. Russia, ura, and Putin, okay. Say, please, do you know that Ukraine was one of the first countries in the world to recognize Palestine as a free state, to open the embassy in Kiev, and to accept the ambassador of Palestine? Many countries didn't open embassy. Many countries did not appoint ambassador. We did. And we are friends. We are we're following all the resolutions on Palestine by the United Nations, etc., etc. And you know what the answer was? This guy wrote me back and say, I really don't care about you like or support Palestine. You are enemy because you like, I don't know, with the United States. Russia will win. So what can I say? I mean, they accuse me of this, and when I say that you are wrong, I say, I don't care. You are enemy. You are racist, whatever. So you cannot discuss the serious things with the people who don't want to know the truth. Maybe? Oh, yeah? Maybe last question. Yeah?
Just one.
Yeah.
Can we-
No,
then
no,
you-
you do. Bro? Yeah. You do. I don't.
Knock out. Okay. Wait. I'll go to the back then. This is the last one.
And to the people before the question, to the people who say that, we don't like. Listen, the people say that we don't support Ukraine because we don't support the United States, and we don't support Israel, and U.S. supports Israel, and your president is Jewish. That's why we don't support Ukraine. This is weird logic. And then they say, we don't support colonialism. That's why we hate United States. Say, you know what? The United States was a colony and then actually fought against colonialism. Say, really? You say, yes, really. They were colonialists. And etc., etc., etc. So you don't talk to people who don't. One last phrase from me. One last phrase. I think it was William Shakespeare. In the London, there is the sign under his monument, there is no darkness but ignorance. Please.
Okay. Good morning to Mr. Ambassador. I'm gonna make it this quick. Everyone in the world knows about the invasion, but apparently knowing about the war itself or having knowledge about the war is not stopping anything. I've seen people doing donations and giving donations online to Ukrainians, but again, the war just keeps going, right? So my question is, what exactly can we, especially as youth, that actually care about the issue, do to help? What kind of support does Ukrainian actually needs? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good question.
I will give very brief questions. Thank you for that. I always repeat, you do not need to mention Ukraine. You do not need to support Ukrainians. You do not need to do this. You can do, but it's not necessary, like we support Ukraine. You can do this. But some people are afraid, for example, because some of my friends telling that we support Ukraine, they will receive the threats from some netizens and tell, oh, we will kill you or something. Yeah. So it's dangerous sometimes. So you don't need to support Ukraine. You need to support humanity and justice only. Are you fighting for justice? Are you really supporting the humanity? Then you can stand and say, I am against killing of children on Ukrainian territory. I'm against committing the crimes against humanity on any territory, including Ukraine, including Sudan, including Syria. I don't know. It's simple. You can also mention, again, it's about the wide recognition and wide dissemination of the truth information. Disseminate the truth, repost whatever, it will help. You can also mention the, I know the Muslim community in Indonesia is quite strong and quite well organized. Yeah, so some people belong to Nahdlatul Ulama, some Muhammadiyah, some smaller organizations. Some don't belong to anyone. That's just been on their own. Like I talk to people from Aceh. They say we don't belong to anyone, but we are Muslims. Yeah. You can support Ukrainian Muslims. You can send the message to Ukrainian Muslims through the internet, for like greetings for the holidays, which they don't have actually, because every holiday, every Ramadan, every Kurban Bayram, what is Kurban Bayram? Al-Adha? Al-Aqsa? No. Kurban Bayram, when Adha. Yeah. So they don't have proper holidays. They don't have peaceful Ramadan because they under threat, support them by saying something, by like spreading some information on that. I have a lot of information on Ukrainian Muslims on my Instagram. Check my Instagram. I cite my Ukrainian spiritual leaders from Muslim society, what they think, what they do, what they call upon people, what they explain. Spread it. It's majority of my information is in Bahasa and some even in Arabic. So you can do this. Tell the truth. It will cover everything. Thank you for support. You don't need to be Ukrainian to support Ukraine. You need to be human. That's it. I repeat it. And little gift to the university, yeah? These are two books for the department's library. I saw the library is very good. Please come. It's in English, but this is very rare reprint called The Real Face of Russia, and this is the articles published in 60s, long time ago, and this is reprint. This is a very rare reprint, and the people just telling the truth. What is it about? Simple. Why the Russia turned to be like that? It's not all of a sudden. Why and etc. So this is one gift. Second is the small book, very simple. If you have time, called Putin's Nazism, and it's a psychological side of it. Look through it. It's very small. You can believe, you cannot believe. It's not about believing. It's about facts. Read it and enjoy. By the way, this is first Ibu Negara Ukraina Foundation. It's enough to be human to save a child's life. That's how we act, how we live. And the third one, it's the little gift to the department and to every one of you. I will. We'll read it first. It's translated also into Ukrainian. Saya benci imperialisme. Saya benci kolonialisme. Dan saya takut akan konsekuensi dari perjuangan pahit terakhir mereka untuk hidup. Kami bertekad bahawa bangsa kami dan seluruh dunia secara keseluruhan tidak akan menjadi mainan bagi negara manapun. Bangsa yang besar adalah bangsa yang menghargai jasa pahlawannya. Nasionalis yang sejati, yang nasionalismenya itu bukan timbul semata-mata suatu tiruan dari nasionalisme barat, akan tetapi timbul dari rasa cinta akan manusia dan kemanusiaan. Who wrote this? So this is something translated into Ukrainian, and the Ukrainian people know this. They read this and they really appreciate it. This is something we feel, this is something we fight.
Yeah, so this is actually the closing statement of our discussion today. Okay, terima kasih. Thank you so much, Pak Dubes Vasyl Hamianin, for your visit and for your answering questions from students. I know they want to ask more questions, but probably we have them.
I hope it was not boring.
Hopefully. So once again, I think we will have a photo session, but just to capture the students, and maybe Pak Vasyl can stand here, and then someone will take it. Sitting here? Probably. Asad, can you help with?
Yeah, and I hope I meet you all again in November. Yeah? Yeah. Sampai ketemu bulan November.